YouTube and welcome back to the channel. This is IMAX Sports with another football video, and today I'm going over my Week 9 NFL MVP candidates. I've been doing this series since Week 3. This is my third installment of the series, and it's doing pretty well. I really enjoy making these videos. It's interesting to compare and contrast different player statistics every week and see where they might end up. A lot of these players are doing more consistently than I thought that they would. I thought that with all of the really strong out-of-the-gate performances by a lot of players and quarterbacks that they would slow down throughout the season, but so far most of them are staying not at the same levels they were like Week 3, because Week 3 stats are overinflated, but they are. There's going to be like 5 quarterbacks to get between 35 and 40 touchdowns this year, so it's going to be a very tight MVP race. It's going to be very interesting to watch. So yeah, without further ado, I just have one thing to say. These projections are a little extreme and may cause some viewers to rage quit the video. This is less and less viable as the season continues, because as the season moves on, these statistics are going to be closer and closer to reality, or the projections will be. I don't believe every player here will get the statistics that I have for them, but they all have the potential to get my projections. So I just want to put that out there. Not all these players are going to get them, but they all have the potential to. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. Okay, so first on the list we have Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald is tied with someone else at number 10. They're both defensive players. So far this season, Aaron Donald has 26 total tackles, 15 solo, and 11 assists. He has 11 tackles for loss, 9 sacks, and 54 sack yards. He has 3 forced fumbles and 1 fumble recovery. Their team is 5-3 right now, and I'm projecting him to have 24 tackles for a loss, 18 sacks, 6 forced fumbles, 3 fumble recoveries, and 60 total tackles. The only thing that's holding him back from the MVP is the fact that he's on defense. He is having an incredible season for himself, and I can expect him to continue to do well, because that's what Aaron Donald does. Tied at 10 is Myles Garrett, also a defensive player. He has 25 total tackles, 19 solo, and 6 assists. He has 9 tackles for loss, 9 sacks, and 74 sack yards, 4 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, a record of 5-3, and I'm projecting he'll have 20 tackles for loss, 19 sacks, 8 forced fumbles, 4 fumble recoveries, 50 total tackles, and what's holding him back is the fact that he's on defense, just like Aaron Donald. Both these players are exceptional for their position, and one of them will most likely be Defensive Player of the Year. Next, we move on to Alvin Kamara, our first offensive player. He is a running back. So far this year, Kamara has 96 carries for 471 yards and 5 touchdowns. He has 60 receptions for 565 yards and 3 touchdowns. He leads the NFL in scrimmage yards, and the Saints are 6-2. My projection is that he will have 200 carries on the season for 1,000 yards, 120 catches for 1,100 yards. He'll have 10 rushing and 10 receiving touchdowns for 20 total. And what's holding him back is he's not a rushing. His rushing yards are holding him back, because usually if you're a running back and you're in the MVP conversation, it's because you led the league in rushing. He will not be leading the league in rushing, and he's not a quarterback. So those are both holding him back. I'd say he has about a 6% chance of getting the NFL MVP. He's having a phenomenal season. And one of the reasons why I think that he has a very good chance is because, for running back at least, is because he has carried the Saints team when other players were injured, literally carried, and he's done very well this season. So I think that he could have a serious chance at the MVP, but all the quarterbacks are going insane. At number 8, we have Tom Brady. Tom Brady is 226 of 346 for 2,398 yards and 20 touchdowns with 7 picks. He has a quarterback rating of 96.2. He has 17 carries for 6 yards and 2 touchdowns. And he's number 11 in yards per game and number 4 in passing touchdowns in the league. Right now his quarterback record is 6-3, and I'm projecting that he'll have around 4,300 yards, quarterback rating of 100, 38 touchdowns, 11 picks, 30 carries for 17 yards, and 3 rushing touchdowns. Now, these numbers don't look like numbers for number 8 on the list for NFL MVP. They look like numbers for like a top 3. But because of all of the competition in the passing game we have this season, Brady's bumped down to number 8 with phenomenal statistics. So, continuing on, he has a very... He needs to stop throwing interceptions. There's another player on this list that needs to stop throwing picks. Because if he loses another game like the Saints game by throwing 3 picks, then that's not going to help his MVP chances. And he needs to throw a couple more yards per game. He has increased in yards per game since last time, but he hasn't increased enough, because I think that touchdowns isn't enough to do it in this passing league, especially with all the competition that he has. So number 7 on our list, we have Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill has very similar yard stats to Brady. He's 167 of 256 for 1,981 yards, 19 touchdowns, and 3 picks, with a quarterback rating of 109.5. He has 22 carries for 105 yards and a touchdown. He's number 19 in the league for yards per game and number 5 in the league for touchdowns. The touchdowns was an asterisk next to it because he's number 5 after playing 8 games. Brady and Mahomes have both played 9. So although he is 6 touchdowns behind Mahomes, he'd probably pass Brady if he had the extra game. His quarterback record is 6-2. And he's currently projected to have 4,000 yards, a quarterback rating of 110, 40 touchdowns, 5 picks, and 45 carries for around 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. I have Ryan Tannehill above Brady because even though he has considerably less yards per game, his interceptions are much lower. His quarterback record is higher. His passer rating is higher. His rushing stats are higher. I think that overall Ryan Tannehill is having a better season than Brady, and I'm not sure which one of them is going to continue to do better. Brady was having a better season than Tannehill, but that Saints game really set him back, and if he has any more games like that, then that's not going to help his MVP chances. So Brady and Tannehill are around 7 and 8. They both have a fairly decent chance of getting the MVP, but nothing special, so I gave Tannehill 8%. At number 6, we have Dalvin Cook. Actually, I had these two switched earlier. He has 7%. Dalvin Cook is 8%. So Dalvin Cook is number 6. He has 144 carries for 858 yards, 12 touchdowns, 16 catches for 173 yards, and a receiving touchdown already in the season. He has 13 touchdowns. He's only played 7 games. He leads the NFL in scrimmage yards per game. Alvin Kamara is leading the league in yards, but barely. And Dalvin Cook has only played 7 games. With Dalvin Cook, the Vikings are 3-4. Without him, they are 0-1. He is projected to have 325 carries for 1,850 yards, 35 catches for 350 yards, 21 rushing touchdowns, and 2 receiving touchdowns. He is currently on track to potentially get the record for rushing touchdowns in a season. I don't know if he's going to do it. He's projected to get 25 rushing touchdowns. And the Vikings seem to win every time that he rushes over 20 times in a game. They've rushed him over 20 times in 4 games. They are 3-1 when Dalvin Cook carries the ball more than 20 times. And when he doesn't carry the ball more than 20 times, they are 0-4. This is one of the reasons why I think Dalvin Cook actually has a serious chance of getting the MVP as a running back, even with Russell Wilson throwing 50 touchdowns. Because if the Vikings make the playoffs and it's 100% because of Dalvin Cook, then he could have a serious chance at the MVP. The only issue is that he isn't a quarterback, and currently their record is not very good, but they're on a 2-game winning streak, and I say he has an 8% chance of getting the NFL MVP. Coming at number 5, we have Josh Allen. Currently, Josh Allen is 217 of 315 for 2,587 yards, 19 touchdowns, and 5 picks, with a quarterback rating of 107.2. He has 65 carries for 242 yards and 5 touchdowns. He's number 6 in yards per game and number 5 for passing touchdowns, with a quarterback record of 7-2. I'll project he'll have around 4,700 yards, 107 quarterback rating, 36 touchdowns, 10 picks, 110 carries for 450 yards and 10 touchdowns. Now, his strict passing stats are worse than Brady's and Tannehill's, so some may say, oh, he's not going to get it over them. But considering he is on track to have 450 yards and 10 touchdowns on the ground, that's a huge addition to what he already has. That currently puts him at 29 touchdowns, which is the most of anyone on this list. And I can totally see Josh Allen continuing, or sorry, no, that puts him at 24 touchdowns, which is tied with Aaron Rodgers. So I can totally see him continuing to do very well in this league, and I think that after a couple of fluke games where he played poorly against the Patriots and the Jets, and then he had lost to the Titans the week earlier, I think that he'll pick it back up and he will start performing very well. At number 4, we currently have Patrick Mahomes, who is 220 of 339 for 2,687 yards, 25 touchdowns, and 1 pick. He has a quarterback rating of 115.9, and he currently has 46 carries for 165 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's number 4 in yards per game and number 2 for passing touchdowns. His record is 8-1, and I project he'll have around 4,700 yards, 115 quarterback rating, 44 touchdowns, 4 picks, 90 carries for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. The only thing holding him back, I think, is the second half of the season. I think that Patrick Mahomes statistically does much better in the first half than the second half, and his wins are also better in the first half of the season than the second half of the season. I'm not saying that Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs are going to become this terrible team, but statistically, he has had a better first half than second half. I have him at around a 10% chance of getting the NFL MVP, and he's having a phenomenal season right now, but there are a couple of other players that I think are having potentially better seasons. So yeah. At number 3, we have Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is 190 of 279 for 2,130 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 7 picks, with a quarterback rating of 99.3. He has 76 carries for 543 yards and 8 touchdowns. He has 24 total touchdowns and a quarterback record of 5-3. I project that he'll have 4,200 yards, a quarterback rating of 100, 32 touchdowns, 13 picks, 150 carries for over 1,000 yards and 16 touchdowns. The reason why I have Kyler Murray above Patrick Mahomes is because last year we saw Lamar Jackson, the first quarterback ever to have 3,000 passing yards and 1,000 rushing yards in a season. He won the MVP. This year, Kyler Murray is about to have 4,000 passing yards and 1,000 rushing yards, as well as over 30 passing touchdowns and over 15 rushing touchdowns. He's averaging 3 touchdowns per game, 2 passing and a rushing. He is making up he's making up a vast majority of his team's yards, and he is playing an MVP season right now. He is the most valuable player on his team, and it's not even questionable that he is the most valuable player on his team. The only thing holding him back is his passing touchdowns. I'd say he has a 12% chance of getting the MVP of the season. Last year, Lamar did it with 36 and 6. I think that he can do it with 32 and 16. At number 2, we have Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is 189 of 280 for 2,253 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 picks, a quarterback rating of 117.5. He has 11 carries for 61 rushing yards, number 8 for yards per game, and number 3 for passing touchdowns. There's an asterisk next to the touchdowns because he's only played 8 games. Mahomes has played 9. He has 1 extra touchdown over Rodgers, but Rodgers has only played 8. I project Rodgers will have around 4,500 yards, a quarterback rating of 113, 46 touchdowns, 4 picks, 25 carries for 100 yards, and the only thing holding him back, there's nothing holding him back. Now that he has Davante Adams back, presumably indefinitely, he should continue to do good, and he should continue to do better. Aaron Rodgers should be able to overtake Patrick Mahomes' statistics fairly soon, now that Davante Adams is back in the mix. And Davante Adams, I almost put on this list, because Davante Adams is having a season of his own. Without the games that he missed, he's averaging like 130 yards per game and like over a touchdown or something. He's having an insane season. So with Davante Adams back and healthy, Aaron Rodgers, good chance, 15%. And at number 1, we have Russell Wilson, of course, has been number 1 for all 3 of these videos. He's 211 of 297, 2,514 yards, 28 touchdowns, 8 picks, quarterback rating of 117.1, 39 rushing yards, rushes for 256 yards and a touchdown. He's number 1 for yards per game. He's number 1 for touchdowns, and he's only played 8 games. His record is 6-2. He's projected to have over 5,000 yards, 120 quarterback rating, 53 touchdowns, 12 picks, 70 rushes for 500 yards and 2 touchdowns. The 53 touchdowns, that could be anywhere from 50 to 60. He's had some up and down games, and I could see him getting anywhere between 50 and 60. Only thing holding him back is his picks, and I'd say he has a 20% chance. So thank you guys all for watching this video. Hope you guys appreciate them. I do try to make new content every single day, so make sure to check back tomorrow. Subscribe, we're almost at 200. I really enjoy making these videos, so make sure to comment down below what you think of my rankings, and I will respond to each and every one. So thank you so much. I appreciate the support. See you guys all in the next video. Peace out.